Welcome back. And we are starting our session on Say What? And today we're actually talking about the psychology of competition. Where does competition start and where does it end? Is there anything as a healthy competition? Let's find out today. And I'm joined by amazing people who are going to help us to tuitafute paka tujue hiyo majibu yote ya hilo swali hapa today. And I'm joined on my right, we have Dr. Kahithe Kiru. Dr. Kahithe Kiru is a cultural anthropologist and also a performance arts scholar. Karibu sana.
Auntie.
Next to her is Beverly Onyango, and you've seen her before here. And we had a conversation with her on mental health, and she's a mental health advocate and a psychologist as well. And next to her, passing on the baton to a very familiar face, Sam Sengo, who is a pastor, but he's also a marketer. So today, you're going to be wearing both hats, I believe. Karibuni sana. How are you guys feeling? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I think let's kick it off by asking if competition, what is competition, first of all?
Maybe to just kick it off, competition, I would simply define it as the urge to be on top.
Mm-hmm. Is it a natural urge?
Yeah.
Or is it built on some things?
I'd say it's a natural urge. It's there. Everyone has it. We all innately have competition. Could be good, it could be bad, but innately we have it.
Kahithe, as a cultural specialist, I'm curious to know if you think culture shapes competition, and how does it shape competition?
So competition is definitely like inborn in a way. Yeah, it is part of the human condition, let me call it that way. So I think what is different is how different societies and different cultures frame competition. You know, how do we regulate it? You know, what do we consider allowed and what do we consider over the top? But it's definitely there. It's always been there. It's been there in the traditional African context as well. It's nothing novel. It's just a matter of how our perception of it changes and how our strategies as a society of dealing with it also change.
And there are actually key rituals or key events in the traditional setup that really called for competition.
Yeah.
For instance, if you're women who are going to dance in front of men so that you can be selected as the wife, what other experiences have you seen that maybe we can borrow from the traditional setup that show that competition is actually inborn?
So I think it was really like we like to say, like there's a competitive element, I think, to most everyday life practices. You know, we don't necessarily see it as such, but you know, there's a theory in sociology that says that we understand ourselves as individuals by comparing ourselves to others. Yeah. So we're always and continuously comparing ourselves to others, which means you could basically take any everyday life activity and say, while doing this, you're striving to be better than the others. So in the traditional context, it was very common. You know, just think about, for example, the young men who are of a warrior age set. You know, they're continuously competing in bravery, in honor. You know, then it comes also with matchmaking and access to ladies. You know, that are kind of connected. You know, even people who are, let's say, the elders of the society. You know, they're also kind of competing for that wisdom as a sign of prestige, you know, because then it gives them access to power in a traditional context. So I think it's really across the board.
Sam, I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Does marketing actually create our desire to compete? Because let's look at a scenario here. Let's look at a scenario here. You see a billboard. Every morning you're passing by a certain road and you're seeing a billboard of a certain car. Yeah. And it almost feels like it's attainable. Yeah. But then you're not able to attain it. Yeah. Does it just subconsciously make us want to compete so that we're able to live the life that the marketer is telling us is possible for us?
The reality of marketing is to build desire. And anytime, where I live, there are a lot of billboards to do with homes, you know, luxury homes and cars and, you know, car dealerships. I was doing some study with my wife the other day and we were laughing. If you notice how marketing is done in places like, the slummy areas and these other posh areas, you'll notice that the type of marketing done in those, we'll deal with it later, but the kind of marketing done in such areas is usually very different. When I'm constantly showing you pictures of very luxurious cars, as a consumer, it builds my desire to actually want that car. And that urge to want it creates a desire for me to push myself beyond boundaries to ensure that I get it. Now, the challenge that comes in, and that what brings actually competition, is when, Wakio, I've gotten the car, I'm driving it. But you drive on the same road and you see the same billboard. And then you see me with the same car. So what is built in your mind is, if Sam has it, then let me also push myself to actually having that car. And that's the beauty of actually where marketing comes to build what is called competitive desire, where, you know, as a marketeer, I want my company to always be on top. So when I'm putting a billboard for example, let me not mention names, my main mindset is to ensure that I capture the mind of the consumer and build competition amongst the consumers, so that by the end of the day, I have a group of people that want actually what I'm actually selling.
Okay, so I'm hearing there's marketing, there's culture, and all these things are influencing how we compete. I'm wondering, Beverly, how does the mind work? How do we perceive what the marketer is trying to do? What does it do to us?
So there are two kinds of ways to look at it, in that when you are able to hit that market and the desire that has been implanted in you, then your mind is able to bring the reward pathway, which is the dopamine. So that when you're able to meet something that has been marketed and you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I can afford it, or yeah, I can have that, then you feel happy. Yeah. So it brings about joy unknowingly, just because the mind has been able to see something. For example, a simple billboard of milk, yeah? And you're like, I can get that. So it brings about joy. So even when you see it, you're able to relate with it. If it's maybe a product that you use, you're able to relate with it, and it brings about joy. But it can also go to the other side, whereby this same mind can look at something and you're not able to buy it, and now it brings about stress. And probably it's a road that you use every single day, so it becomes like a reminder of you can't even...
Of your failure.
Yeah, you can't get this, you can't get this. You're on the road, coincidentally on Thika Road, I was seeing yesterday a billboard of a car. So you're like, every day on the road is a new pickup that is being marketed, and it's that reminder, I can't be able to get this, I can't be able to get this. And this then brings about stress in the mind and in the body. So you walk around angry with so much anxiety because it has become a reminder of something that you can't be able to achieve.
Wow, that's profound. I'd like the three of you to respond to these three kinds of competition, right? So generative competition, someone else's success pushes you to improve yourself. Comparative, that winning only matters if someone else loses. And destructive, winning isn't enough. You also want the other person to fail. Could you respond to these three kinds of competition, please?
I think that goes back to the question, what has really changed, you know, between how we used to perceive competition in a traditional society and today, right? Because traditionally, like, success cannot be excluded from responsibility, right? There's an element of collective responsibility in success. For you to be considered successful by the community, they don't just look at, you know, your wealth or your status, you know, they look at also what you're giving back, right? So it comes with the element of accountability. And once we disconnected from that, that's when now we started going into this, how would I call it, a bit excessive or extreme forms of success, in which it is like, me and me alone. In fact, the best would be for me to win, for everyone else to lose. Yeah, because it's also based on this idea that there's a zero sum of opportunities. There's a zero sum of success available in the world. So we are competing for the same thing, right? So for me to get it, you have to not have it. So I think in your case, I think that the first form of success that you mentioned, you know, is that being inspired by somebody else's success, you know. call it generative, right?
Yes.
Like being inspired by somebody else's success, looking at them, you know, as a role model, you know, trying to get there progressively. That is a very positive form of success, you know. But some of these other forms, I think, you know, not very healthy. They're not healthy, I think, for the individual as well as for the community.
I really like what she said, and I think there's that saying where you're told that if you want to be something, start acting like it. For example, if you see yourself being a CEO of a certain organization or a company, or even your own company, then start acting like a CEO. So even if you're not there yet, dress like it, walk like it. And that, it's competition, but it's a kind of competition that is leading you into a good direction of where you want to be. But there's this other competition, and I'm going to reference like the show, Polygamist, that has been going on, whereby the Joyce said, if I can't have you, then no one else will. And it leads us to go into the extremes of, we're going to do anything, even if it involves taking your life, just as long as no one else is having you, or no one else is having it. So the competition goes into this other direction. Innately in itself, competition is not bad, but it is how we use it and how it reflects on us. And again, also now into the psychological aspects, to bring about what is it in us that has been triggered as to the direction in which we will go. Because some people who probably have gone through the same experience will go to the direction of the good competition, whereby I want to be like her, and so I will dress like her, I will walk like her, I will do how she does to be able to achieve to the levels in which she is. But there's also this side of, wait, if I can't have it, then no one else will. And I'll make sure to spoil all your names and anything that I need to do just to make sure no one else is having it if I am not the one who's having it.
And Beverly, you've touched on relationships, and I want to task Sam to put on his pastor hat. Because if God is a jealous God, and we have been created in his image, where does that leave us?
Jealousy actually has two faces. There's jealousy that leads to destruction, and there's jealousy that is an expression of undying love for someone. I'll be jealous for my wife because I love her. So when I see her with someone else, nitasikia something, you know, because I prefer her with me than with someone else. There are two types of mirrors, Wakio, that are very important for us to actually be aware of. The first type of mirror is a mirror that shows you a reflection of yourself. I'm coming back to the same question. A mirror that shows you a reflection of yourself. The importance of this mirror is that it helps you to know who you are, know your worth, know your value, and be able to be comfortable with the reality of who you are. The first mirror is very important because it navigates us to the second type of mirror, where is the mirror of the people around you. So the people around you, for example, are supposed to be, number one, a picture of where you're going if they're more successful than you. There should be a picture of where you're going, or a picture of what you actually decide, what you want. And now it builds a desire in your heart to actually work extra to become whatever you're seeing in them. This mirror also can be very negative because I can look at someone else who's successful than me, and it creates a very negative feeling, a very negative urge to destroy this person, to make sure that anytime I look at them, I don't see success. I see failure. A good example is a story we used to read when we were younger, the story of Snow White. It's a very good example because this mother-in-law, whatever, I can't remember the details, we used to go to the mirror and ask the mirror who's the most beautiful of them all. And one time she was told she's not actually the most beautiful of them all. And now all her life was centered on making sure she's more beautiful than Snow White. And there are people who are like that. When I look at this second mirror and I see the success of my friends, my peers, my family, it builds a certain anger that, because this is where actually competition is birthed from, the undying desire to be better than others. And number two, the reality of where you are, I'm the one who's supposed to be there. And if you look at some of these shows that are coming, they're not just shows, they're conversations. They're not just shows, they're conversations, because the reality of the matter is in the society now, scripture talks about in the last days, one man will be pursued by 7 women. It's actually scriptural.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. That is the polygamy. We'll come back to that. And maybe when we take this short break, because we're taking a short break right now, let's think about who shapes that competitive nature, especially in Kenya. Is it our education system? Is it our culture? So we'll look at that. But right now, let's take a short break. And when we come back, please don't go too far because this conversation is getting heated.
Azam TV, your favorite pay TV, just got even better. Effective 1st March 2026, we have added 5 amazing new TV channels to keep you entertained day and night. AMC Movies and Nolly Africa for the best of Nollywood movies and series. Music Box Hits and Music Box Dance for non-stop music hits and dance. And Manchester United TV for football fans. More movies, more music, more sports. All in one place.
Steam Energy Drink. Cool, refreshing taste. Recharges your body and mind. Energy to help you keep going. Celebrate with Kenya's favorite energy drink. Now available at your nearest shop. Get yours today. Power up. Game on.
Skia. Ni juicy. Flavor zote tamu tena fruity. Yummy na flow kama maji juu ni tamu kama sali. Ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi. Usijali my bro, ibu kama taka juicy juni.
Welcome back to Say What? And before we took the break, Sam just threw some some serious banter over there when he told us that in the end times, one man will be pursued by 7 women. That's a serious polygamy right there. I'm just kidding. What are your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? No, your thoughts. What are your thoughts, ladies, on such a scenario? Because it brings about competition. You know, if there's 7 ladies going to one man, there's a heightened level of competition there, and competition on different levels. It's not just about beauty and whatnot. There's everything that different people bring into a relationship. What are your thoughts, culturally speaking, Madam Specialist, Dr. Kahide?
So I think, this is an all-time favorite topic here on the continent. So I think, first and foremost, marriage or relationships, they're social contracts, right? You're entering into a contract, into an agreement with the other party, right? And at that point, I believe you're in the position to negotiate the terms of your contract. So if during that negotiation, the contract that both parties have agreed on is one of polygamy, I don't see that as necessarily bad, or like it has a negative connotation, or like it must have a positive connotation. It really depends on the context and the environment. I think one problem we are having in today's day and time is that we have confused polygamy with infidelity. Those are 2 very different things, right?
Are they?
Because in a traditional setup, polygamy, you are equally responsible for all of those people. You are in an equal arrangement and agreement and contract with all of these parties.
Hold that
right?
thought, Kahide. Because what does equal mean? What does equal mean? Because there's bound, even with your children, there's bound to be some extra love to somebody else.
okay, of course, maybe it may be on an emotional level. You cannot control the, you know, you don't have a way of measuring or controlling somebody's emotional level of emotional investment. But remember, these parties went into this agreement, all of them. You know, their own this is consent. You know, they consented to this type of a relationship, this type of a social contract. They are in it, right? So that's why also traditionally, we're talking about going back to success and wealth. Traditionally, you having several wives meant something about your social status.
Yeah.
Because it means you're the man. You can take care of all these women. Remember, each of them most of likely has their own separate house, has their own separate, you know, kettle, you know, I don't know, food, granary, you know, their children, all of that. And you are able to handle all of them, right? But now in this day and time, a lot of times, polygamy is mistaken by infidelity. But if you just have one social contract, like you have your spouse, but then you have all this outside of the spousal agreement relationships in which you have not actually committed in the same manner. These are not other marriages. These are just other engagements. We call it temporary contracts. So I think that's why people are, you know, usually like really allergic to that notion idea of polygamy. But I don't think it's in per se. And you know, it had its role in history. Remember, you know, it was very difficult to be, women are more in numbers than men. Remember, it was very difficult to be a woman and to not have a husband at the time. How are you, you know, who is providing security? You know, how are you, even money, you know, for quite a long time, how are you even owning something? You can't own property. Like, what are you going to do? Yeah. So we live in a different time now. So in today's day and time, we have to really rethink and restructure this idea.
But the end time is telling us 7 women to 1 man. So we are probably still stuck in the same place. But maybe just move away. Let's move away from that and look at what are those factors that build that competitiveness in us. And I feel it's like education plays a big role in making us very competitive. What setups have you seen, like even growing up and seeing your children grow up as well in their school setups? How do you see that influencing their nature of competitiveness?
Going back to our time, before now the new CBC, grades were mentioned. The teacher could stand in class and say, so-and-so 90-something, so-and-so 90-something. And most of the time they were even arranged in order. So they would come in class and start with maybe from the lowest to the highest, or from the highest to the lowest. And so there was already ranking that was clear. So you knew who would sit or who performed better. And even then, even going back to times for examinations, like I remember we're having a conversation with someone saying during MOOC, the numbers were given depending on your number. So the top students were in a certain class, then we proceed all the way to all the others, you know. And that already brings about competition. Then we look at upbringing, when you're growing up, just as you've said, Wakio, that sometimes parents, there's that favoritism. Or mostly the firstborns maybe are looked up as and are given responsibilities. The second comes and there's no responsibility given to you. In fact, you're being told be taken care of. And that brings about competition. So you find that even siblings themselves are competing against each other for the love of the parent. And you don't even know when it's happening, but slowly these things get nurtured in us. When we were having the competitions of the pageants, for example, and you're walking and you have to look at this one looks better, and there's a ranking of some sort. And these are the things that in the community bring about competition. We're not aware, but slowly you keep looking and seeing something and you're like, okay, why is this one being told they're better? Why is this lady probably compared better than this other one? When then we even look at now social media, because it is what is in our hands. You look at your friend and the following that you get, and you wonder, why is this one getting more following and not? And that these are the things in our natural day-to-day that are bringing about competition, whether we know it or we don't.
So when is it healthy and when is it unhealthy? When does it turn into malice and jealousy and envy, perhaps?
For me, the birthplace of competition actually begins at home. At home, how? how mom talks about Mama Nani and tells them that usienange kwa kina Mama Nani because of ABC. You know, we never used to know that actually we were barred from going to certain families and houses because they didn't like that they have what we don't have. Maybe they have a television, we don't have a television. Maybe they wear shoes, we don't wear shoes. And it constantly began to build unhealthy competition where we hate them because we can't attain what they have. Then now it shifts from home to school. 844 system was one of the worst systems, if I can talk about it, because it made us study more. The reality is it made us study more. We got our grades and we enjoyed them. But if you look at how it was modeled that the ones on top were the ones who were ruling. And it built a mindset. And if you look at many millennials, actually, Wakio, they are struggling. The ones who failed are actually struggling because in their mindset, according to the education system that we had, the standard was them, they failed. So the moment they finished the fourth form of high school, their mindset always went with the reality that they failed. And there's a school, I'll not mention the name, where in the same campus there's vet students and there's agriculture students. And it's very interesting that the vet students always look down on the agriculture students because in their mindset, the agriculture students were failures in campus. And the veterinary medicine students are, these successful people. So even when I go watch them play football, I can see that kamadarao that they give the agriculture students, not knowing that healthy competition is where you are an agricultural student, I'm a veterinary student. You actually need each other. And that aspect of, I know that I'm competing with you to become a better version of myself, but in the long run, we will actually need each other. So the birthplace of all this, it begins at home. It begins with how parents talk to their children about other children. It talks about how parents talk about, hey, Daktari, you passed in your exams. Look at Mtoto Wanani failed, or you failed. Look at Mtoto Wanani who passed very highly. And those days they used to announce top students.
In the newspaper.
It made some of us feel bad, because I remember I was index 4. Our index 1 was top 100. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, and he was my best friend. So it used to make me, in a way, feel so bad about his success. And that builds a very negative, bad, competitive mindset. Because if I even go to the Bible as I wind up, the first time we see negative competition is between Cain and Abel. In Genesis chapter 4. And what the Bible says, they brought their offerings, Cain brought his, Abel brought his, and actually scripture says that both of them brought the best. They both brought the best, but it's because God preferred Abel's, it created this, what she was saying, this negative mindset upon Cain. And actually that is what led to Cain killing Abel. So negative competition is something that I would urge parents to be very careful about in terms of how they talk to their children, how they talk to the people around them, because at the end of the day, or as you are saying, it brings a very negative mindset that can also lead to very, very bad destruction.
You've mentioned something, and I'd like Dr. Kahithe to respond to it. Why is it often harder to celebrate success of a friend or a sibling than it is of a stranger?
Oh, interesting question. Interesting question. I think the first problem we have, and just to follow up on this discussion about education and all that, is the first problem we have is that we have narrowed down our understanding of success, right? We think success is only wealth, academic accomplishments, maybe political position, That's pretty much everything, We do not understand that we need we need the teachers and the caregivers and the artists and the craftsmen. We need all those people for our society to be balanced, right? So there is a challenge in understanding that academic success in terms of grades is not, number one, doesn't necessarily directly translate into success in terms of financial substance, for example, financial success. And two, that even if it does, that financial success is not the only form of success. even having wholesome maybe and a well-balanced, family life and personal life is also a form of success. You understand? So in that sense, when you're asking, you can envy people for different reasons. Doesn't necessarily have to be that success that we understand, in the market. As this guy is so successful. Look at the car he drives, or he won seat of, I don't know, he's the MP of what or what, yeah. So there are small things and that's why it goes back to what you're asking. Why is it more difficult to celebrate the success of people who are close to us? I think it goes back to one, you're constantly comparing yourself with them, so it feels more close to home. So it feels like more he's taking this success from me, or he's taking the spotlight within our small circle away from me and onto himself, right? And also going back to this question of, can I be happy for others even if myself I'm not doing well? And I think that would go back to the psychologist to say that I think it's extremely difficult for a human being to find joy if themselves they don't feel fulfilled. So now that could be different forms of success, So that could be also, as I'm saying, for example, me and my best friend, we got married around the same time, she has 2 kids, me, I really want kids, I don't have kids yet, Immediately that becomes a point of tension between us. I will start looking at this woman through a different lens, right? So that is not necessarily financial success or another form of, like a capitalist approach to success, but I am seeing like she has something that I don't have. Yeah.
The self, I think that's what you're touching on. The self, it starts with you. What are your thoughts, Beverly?
I agree with what she said. And even to just build on it is that when you have seen, say when you're talking about your friend and you have seen the journey you have walked together, then it becomes easy to relate with them. And so you expect that whatever it is we are going through, we should go through together. So why is it different for you that you seem like you're doing better or you're succeeding? But it all boils down to you as an individual. When you don't feel happy for this person, what is it innately in you that has been triggered? Is it a self-esteem that is low for you, that now when you see other people thriving, they look like competition to you? Is it a traumatic experience maybe that you have gone through, that when you look at another person, then it reminds you of what you should have? When you hear someone else talking about their joy, maybe even saying, sometimes it's not even a big thing, it's something as simple as having a conversation with a friend and she's saying, my mom and I are so close friends, yet probably you and your mom are not close friends. Then it becomes a point of competition. Or sometimes you even get the feminist story that has been going on. We look at it and we start competing with the men. And we forget what it is that we're talking about. It's not about, so is it the competition that we're talking about? Are you and me, or is it just empowering, say, me as myself? So it has to do with a lot of looking inwardly at yourself as an individual and being honest with yourself and realizing when you see that you're not happy for this person, what is it in you that you feel has been triggered? Do you feel left behind? Do you feel not accepted? Do you feel now you're not part of the community? If it is a friendship that you had and you feel like this one's are leaving, are moving forward and you're left behind, do you feel like, am I being left behind? Am I going to fit in? Or when you look at someone maybe post something and it is for you, it reflects, you're just trying to show off. Yeah. So it is for you to look and wonder, why do I feel like they're trying to show off? And not necessarily you're just enjoying yourself, or you just want to have memories, or you just enjoy sharing. At the end of the day, it is an innate thing, and what triggers maybe even this one competition thing can be an array of different things for different kind of people.
Amazing. Let's twist this plot a little bit, because it's not always that people block your success. There are times they just simply don't help you. They don't make maybe the introduction, they don't share that opportunity, they just, secretly or quietly just, they're holding you back. What's happening to that person psychologically?
For me, I think that is the biggest failure we have as a society, and not just the Kenyan society, in general African societies, that we have completely lost the idea of mentorship, apprenticeship, the idea of my role as a successful person is to lift others up.
Pass on the baton.
Yes, to now, as you say, make the introductions, help the other person because I have already reached there, right? So it's not about pulling up the ladder, it's about creating the bridge that will allow even others to pass. In fact, I was reading somewhere recently that the word success, I don't know if it's true linguistically, I'm not a linguist, but the word success, if you listen to it, it comes with the same idea as succession, right? Success without creating successors, what kind of success is it then?
Empty.
Yeah, so a lot of times you find this happens because the person feels kind of threatened by the new person who is entering into that space, right? So there's a feeling of like, if I pass down this knowledge, then I no longer hold the power that comes with the knowledge. Now there are several players on the field. So I actually feel, it doesn't necessarily even have to be conscious, right? It can be really a subconscious reaction by which I want to help you, but I'm also kind of afraid of you and afraid of what your success will mean for myself. Yeah, so it's a fear-based reaction, I would say. It's a fear-based reaction.
And I'll pick it from where she's mentioned fear, because that is actually where I was to come towards. There's always this fear that if I help you Wakio, you'll be better than me. So that fear of, look at where I am, I'm the boss now. Look at even in a company setup. Very many workers have been denied promotions, not because they don't work hard. It's because the person who is holding the papers to promote this person is afraid that if this person comes to where I am or whatever, I will take their place. I remember one time I went for an interview, and I was actually qualified, completely qualified. And I got the regret letter. We regret to inform you, blah blah blah. And I went home. Later on, my friend who works in that same company comes and tells me that the reason why you are denied that position that you are actually you wanted was because the person who was interviewing you was afraid of your papers, because he looked at what you're bringing and they were like, this one, if this one comes to the company, they will actually overtake me. So now what do? They frustrate me and ensure that I'm not lifted. The African setup, more so, where I come from, I am Luo. Sorry to say, where I come from, it is very hard to be helped.
Why is that?
I've never understood it. And it still trickles down to that aspect of, if I help you, you'll be better than me. For example, I might be well off financially. I work in this company, I'm earning a lot of money, yet my sister, whose children cannot pay school fees, I cannot actually pay school fees for them. Because I feel if I empower them, they will be better than me. And now when we are having the family gathering, it will be me and them. Because in our society, they always want to be the ones on top.
What does that mean, though, Kahive, culturally? Where is that coming from,
I don't
honestly?
know. I don't think this is necessarily something that is part of traditional culture, though we could discuss where does tradition start and where does it end. That's another panel for another day. But yeah, I don't think that was necessarily that way in the past. I actually think that I want to be a bit optimistic, yeah? That as much as we are saying, yes, mentorship, apprenticeship, there are things that have been eroded, that we have lost as a society. There are still quite a few remnants of the positive things that come with community in our local societies, Just think about, the whole idea and notion of Harambe. Just think about our capacity to mobilize extended families and entire clans in moments of crisis, Even if it's just a barrier, by which everyone feels that individual responsibility to contribute for that family to be able to send off their loved one, Think about also celebrations, families. We still have a lot of examples where we as a community celebrate individual success. Any kid who is going to graduate, like that your auntie is going to invite everyone. I don't know, the whole area, and everyone will come and give speeches and talk about how they helped the young man get to where they are. Whether it's accurate or not, that's a story for another day, but everyone feels like they're part of this collective success. So I think there are positive remnants still, There are still positive remnants. Of course, the format has changed. It has changed a lot, because now again, today everything means just money, Even support just means money. So if it's not M-Pesa, then it's not support.
I think that answers the question I was about to ask you as we wind up, is that what kind of culture should Kenya deliberate to build if we want competition to bring out the best in people? And I think you've already responded to that. Maybe I should just go to Beverly right now and ask, there's a word called compersion. Compersion. Willis, the words master, must help us to pronounce that. But finding genuine joy in someone else's success, is that really possible? And how do people get there as we are winding up?
Wow, that's a good question. When my husband was teaching me how to drive, he always told me, make sure that the distance between you and the car in front of you is, I think, 2 seconds, for example. So 2 or 3 seconds. And you should be able to count, yeah? So that in case of anything, you have enough time to brake. And I told him, what happens when I have left the space and another car comes in and goes in that spot that I have left? And he told me, then you leave another you hold back, you brake, and now between the car that has gotten in between the space that you had left, leave another 3 or 2 seconds. And it didn't really make sense. And then he asked me, so if another car comes in, does the road end? And I was like, no, it doesn't. And now that just brings about how we think. As an individual, you're thinking, you're coming in to take my space. You're coming to do what I should be doing. You're coming to, just take what is mine. But really, has it ended? Is it over? Is it ever going to end? So if that car comes ahead of you, will that road ever end? No. So it is a culture that we have to start. Because you see, even when we're on the roads, it is so hard for you to let someone else
courtesy
change the lane,
Yeah.
It's so hard for you to let someone else change the lane. But it is asking yourself that question, when you let this person come in that lane, what happens, Or when you don't let them come in, then what do you get?
Oh, time has really imetupatia kisogo kabisa, the serious kisogo. I'll give you 30 seconds to respond to this. We've spent years being taught to compare ourselves with everyone, right? How do we consciously break that habit? 30 seconds.
In 15 seconds.
Okay.
The beauty of competition is meant to give you a picture of where you're going and build a mentality in you that if Wakio has become successful, then success is at my door. So always see competition as a platform to better me. Look at even the 100 meters runners. If I'm defeated today, it doesn't mean that I stop running. They build themselves. Look at someone like Ferdinand Omanyala. He's currently Africa's best. Why? And I was here listening to a conversation he was having. He was saying that the day I was defeated, I couldn't go and give up. I built myself more. So competition is supposed to help you build yourself more and build yourself better.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please shake her hand and you shake his hand for me, for being such a panelist. I really appreciate your time and thank you so much for your insights. Next year, we're getting into a competitive year because we're getting into our elections. And I think this is why this is such an important conversation for societies to know that we can compete in a very healthy way. So here's my final word to you. Competition against a problem creates progress. Competition against a person creates comparison. Competition against yourself creates growth. Is that true? Do you agree? From myself and Catherine Simaloi, who was a sign language interpreter, we want to wish you all a good night. Thank you, guys.